Hey guys, it's Alex and Mike here, and it's the weekly fishing report. Now we got a lot of things coming up this week. Rockfish is going to open up, I guess, Sunday. White Perch Open's coming up here in a few, week and a half. So we got a lot of stuff going on. So I guess let's start off with rock fishing coming up, some predictions and whatnot. Fish are obviously still out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure they had a nice little break here in the past 2 weeks. And obviously the same spots from last time. Hodges will probably be still good. The bridge might have some more fish now.
It probably will.
And most of the places down south, we keep hearing of people obviously bycatching nice size rockfish in the creeks, in the rivers, and everywhere. Even some of these commercial guys have been saying they've been seeing nice fish out there. So what do you think, Mike? It's going to happen here this upcoming Sunday.
I think top water is going to be really good. In the rivers and creeks, even don't be hesitant to go way up in the rivers and creeks. This is about the time, August and so on, that the fish are going to move in really shallow, all the way up, like in the Severn and the Magothy. They're going to go, like, you can catch them up off docks and stuff like that, way up. Top water, best time of year.
That's a good point
fall.
there. I think it's just because we got all that bait up there.
Yes,
all
there
the small
is
bait.
Tons of bait everywhere, and if there's bait, there's pretty much usually rockfish or other predatory fish.
Big old perch.
Big perch.
Big old perch.
I know you and I both have been hammering big perch during this rockfish time, being closed, as well as some other species. But yeah, top water, small baits, up shallows.
Yeah. And if you're in this, I guess, Annapolis area and you want to mix it up, trolling right now will probably be one of those times where you might want to head from, the bridge down to Poplar and troll some Clark spoons, some of the bomber spoons from Hardhead, any kind of small spoon. And remember, not going super fast, but you can mix it up, starting off slow for rockfish with a little bit bigger spoons, then speeding up once you get your limit and trying to get some bluefish and mackerel. And I know you've seen a lot of bluefish all the way up here too.
Yeah, all the way up to the bridge. Mackerel are definitely here. Like it's not just there's a few. They're here. We went out yesterday and hammered mackerel.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in the breaking fish with the birds, and there were as far as you can see mackerel.
Right. How consistent do you think it will be up here in this area?
I think it's going to be really good. The fish were down towards mouth of Eastern Bay, all the way down to mouth of Chop Tank. Just wherever you find birds in the middle of the bay, not really any specific spot, because they do move around. It's wherever you see birds. And if you don't even see, another good tip is if you don't see actual fish breaking and you just see a ton of birds working, if they're just birds on the water, like concentrated seagulls and stuff like that in one area, there's bait there, which means there's fish there. Because the seagulls aren't working, it's because the fish haven't pushed the bait up towards the top to where the birds can get to it. So honestly, I've had good success just blind casting around the birds and catching mackerel and bluefish, stuff like that. Just because they're not in a feeding frenzy doesn't mean you can't catch them.
Find a bait, find a fish.
Exactly.
And now with all the fancy stuff you got on your boats nowadays, side scan, everything, you can find a bait for sure. So
100%. But yeah, casting has been really good for mackerel and bluefish. I mean, really good. My favorites are the GI rain minnows, the Hoagie epoxy jigs are one of my go-tos. I usually use the smaller size, but I've also used these bigger sizes to catch those bigger mackerel and bluefish. Don't be hesitant to throw these. My two go-to colors are like this bunker style and this like bay anchovy. Really mimics the rain bait. Bay anchovies, glass minnows, all that stuff is out in the bay, as well as the Shimano Colt snipers. And typically the 28 grams, you can use the 21 grams, but these two colors, I would prefer a more natural color for the most part. When I'm casting, yes, match the hatch when I'm casting. And then also these Fish Lab jigs here. Now, if you're not a fan of trebles, you can go to singles. We do sell singles individually, so you can put them on. Another thing that's really underlooked is if you troll and you have just Clark spoons on your boat, Clark spoon makes a Clark caster. So this is the 1/2 ounce and the 1/4 ounce. It's a wire through with a almost like a worm weight on it, a couple beads, and a blade on it. But the cool thing is down here at the bottom they have a little snap, so you snap it right on the loop of the Clark spoon, and your trolling spoon now becomes a casting spoon. So what that does, that blade spins around and flashes while that spoon kind of works back and forth like a fluttering action, and they work really well for mackerel and bluefish.
And remember this, even if you're up here, you can use all the those items for rockfish
Yes,
too.
just gotta change your
yeah.
retrieve, your trolling speed, things like that.
Yeah, so remember that. And, you know, besides the rockfish and all that stuff, you know, you can always pick up some nice perch.
Yes.
Now that we're coming up to the perch tournament, it's a great time to scout some areas. So you can get ready to win that annual White Perch Open. So I know we've seen a lot of big perch, and I mean,
Big
consistent. Perch. Not like, you know, wow, here's one 12-incher and that. I've seen the guys here, you and I, people online just showing massive perch every
this
day.
year I've caught one 13.5-inch white perch and probably 6 to 7 12.5-inch white perch this year as bycatch fishing for trout and stuff like that. And
Right.
it's unreal.
Yeah.
It's a lot of big perch out there.
So remember, 5 fish, 5 biggest fish for the White Perch Open. So if you got your little honey hole, make sure you know you get there first, because it's going to be a good amount of people out there. You know, but I always like to upgrade the size, and you know, you were talking about that a few weeks ago. Also, I like to throw a little bit different style baits that they probably haven't seen in a while, or haven't seen period. Like, we got some small chatterbaits. I've been doing pretty good with them. The bives and those clatter chappers or whatever from Clapper. Yeah, Daryl makes those little guys, and I mean, I've used them a lot for everything, and I guess just the vibration.
The
it's
vibration.
Different.
Well, it's like you were saying, the Z-Man Willow Vibes with the 3.75 streaks or the 3-inch minnows. Jumbo perch. I mean, jumbo perch. You go bigger profile, bigger bait, bigger fish.
Yep.
I know I've caught like that 13.5-inch white perch I caught this year was on a 4-inch Z-Man diesel minnow, like with a 3/8-ounce jig head. That's with a 3/0 hook. Like, that was huge, and he engulfed it. So don't be hesitant to throw, especially now that the rockfish season will be opening up on Sunday. Don't be hesitant to throw a little bit bigger profile baits. Maybe slow it down, and you'll catch rockfish as well as bigger white perch.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things where you have to make that call if you want to catch quantity or quality size.
I'm always a quality guy now.
So it's one of those things that, remember, for this tournament, that's got to be your call there when you're doing that. Other than that, if you're down south chasing this mackerel, I know you've been doing this a lot too. Closer to shore, and that's speckled trout.
Speckled trout have been really, really good still. In the shallows all the way from basically Eastern Bay all the way down to the islands down in Tangier. Popping corks, what you guys know from sure you've seen some of my videos and posts. My go-to, I always have a popping cork rigged up with either a 3/16 all the way up to, depending on the depth of water, all the way up to a 3/8. But my go-to medium is just a 1/4 ounce. With a 3 or 4-inch paddle tail, preferably Z-Man. That's what I use. Then honestly, just either a 1/4 or 3/8 ounce jig head with a paddle tail. And just casting retrieve, give it some sharp jerks. Really good for speckled trout. Now, as the sun gets up, move deeper. I've heard some reports of some being caught in deeper, all the way up to as 20 foot of water. Now you get into that depth, you can go with a heavier jig head, or another good one is sting silvers. Sting silvers with a teaser on it. What I like to do is I use a bait holder hook and do a dropper loop, just like you're flounder fishing, but at the bottom a sting silver, and on the top I'll just use like a little 3 or 4-inch paddle tail and just bounce it off, like just jig it straight up and down in that deeper water.
Nice.
Really well.
In some areas on the western shore that you can find speckled trout
without
having to go over to the eastern shore. It's, you know, I'll get consistently some good speckled trout in the Patuxent River down at Solomon's. Point Lookout, all that general area in St. Mary's County has a good amount of fish and good amount of areas where people don't usually go to. So if you feel a little bit adventurous and you want to get out there and try something new, head down over to that area. Piney Point, Point Lookout, Solomon's, that general area. A lot of good fish.
Moving south again, cobia. Cobia they're out there to be caught. Anywhere from basically, I haven't heard too many reports, but it's definitely, if you don't want to travel too far south, Chesapeake Beach and down. They definitely launch out of Point Lookout if you can. Chunking has been very good, like very, very good. Guys catching, of course, a bunch of rays, but a bunch of cobia mixed in. You can sight cast for them if you get a nice calm day with nice sun. You'll be able to see those fish. It's been great. Cobia, some bull reds mixed in, I've heard. But yeah, down there is really good. And then, of course, down into the tunnel, Of course, cobia, big red drum, all that good stuff down there.
Now, going back to pretty much your rockfish, remember, I forgot to mention this earlier, circle hooks.
Yes.
Don't forget about those. I mean, we still have the promotion from BMC about, you know, getting these hooks and you get a sticker, or if you buy, I believe, 4 or more, you get a t-shirt. So those are pretty, I don't know if you used them yet.
I have not, but
they got the little, you know, heavy mono keeper there, so it keeps your chunk of bait nice and steady in there, so you can use those. And other than that, even for cobia fishing, I mean, you could probably use these for everything. I mean, not just rockfish, but a couple more predictions on that. I mean, 5 spot for rock.
They're still catching a ton of spot out there, which is good.
Yeah, you might get, you know, the tails chopped off now, but
with the blues, yes.
Especially if you're south of the bridge. Eels.
Eels, another good one.
Obviously, chunking, LY, or soft crabs, or any kind of crab will work, and just your normal jigging.
Yeah.
Back to normal, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to snakeheads.
Snakehead. That's been pretty okay. I mean, we have a good amount of reports, obviously, from Blackwater and Upper Bay. Typical summer pattern. Nothing
Top
really.
water.
Yeah, top water,
Frogs,
early mornings,
mice,
afternoons. I mean, the typical snakehead stuff with some paddle tails once the sun's really high up, fishing grass lines. It's been kind of steady everywhere. You know, nothing really, you know, exciting, but you're still catching consistent amount of.
So what's your go-to color for top water or paddle tails?
I always use white. I don't think I have anything by season, but in general it's just white.
White's
everything.
always a go-to.
Yeah, white's always a go-to.
Especially in that dark black water area. The water is literally black. It's called black water for a reason.
Yeah.
That white just stands out and is a really
and it seems to produce fish anywhere you go in this state. So it's just one of those go-to.
Crabs.
Crabbing, yeah.
Crabs have been decent. It's not crazy right now, but as we talked about earlier, quality over quantity. People that are catching crabs are catching bricks, just giant crabs. Typically, I know. Right now, 4 to 6 foot of water is where you want to be. Especially when the water gets super hot, you want to keep a little bit deeper so the water's a little bit cooler. But I mean, it's there. I went out the other day and called it hammers. We probably called it half a bushel. But it was,
that's all you need.
Hammers. And it was awesome. Yeah, big crabs. So standard baits, chicken necks, razor clams. I like to still use razor clams all the time. Produces better.
So remember, guys, I think that's all we have for this week's fishing report. But remember, go to our website for the sign up for the White Perch Open.
Definitely.
Obviously, check all our videos there. Send us your pictures and everything, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.